It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
We have quorum.
Hey, Terry, we're recording. Do you want to read the?
Oh, yep. Okay. Looks like we're all set. Usually John comes on, says we're good.
All set. We're ready to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. This is the Northborough Cultural Council. It is Thursday, the 11th, 2021, and it's 6:33, and I'm calling the meeting to order. I'm Terry Underwood, and I need to read the remote meeting rules. This open meeting of Northborough Cultural Council is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Cultural Council are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Cultural Council to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. And so with that, I will take attendance. And so I see Lori.
Yes, yeah.
And Vic. And
Yes.
okay. And Craig.
I'm here.
And Leslie.
Here.
See you. And myself, Terry Underwood. Okay. All right. And so with that, we will dive right into the approval of minutes from 2/25. Do I have a motion? And then we
Motion to approve the minutes
okay.
from February 25th.
Okay. And is there any discussion? No, seeing none. Do we have a second? Second to approve? Okay.
I second.
Okay. I saw Vic first. And
But you heard Leslie first.
I love this group. I absolutely love this group. Okay, and so show of hands, Lori?
I was not there. Can I vote?
As what I understand, yes, you can vote as long, you know, you've seen the minutes, you've seen the meeting. And,
Okay, yes.
And Vic?
Yes.
And Craig?
Yes.
And Leslie?
Yes.
And yes, so that's unanimous. And then on to the treasurer's report. Anything new and interesting and exciting?
There is not.
Okay.
No new money has come in. No new bills have come in.
Okay. And do we want to set the next meeting yet? I think we already have one set up.
March 20. I have March 15th for some reason.
That might have been.
I think
I
March
don't have it.
18th.
It would have
I
been.
have the 25th
Oh, 25th. Okay, that's
at 6:30.
right. So it's not the one, but the two. March 25th. Correct.
And I have not secured that time with the town yet, but I'm going to assume that 6:30 still works for everybody.
Yes.
Okay. And so that will be our next meeting. But prior to that, we do have the grant reception. And so you want to save that, all of the grant reception. Oh yeah, that's number 4. Here we go. just had to flip my page. And so, okay, so I guess first item up for discussion. Let's see, have all the approval letters been mailed? Is everybody all set with that? When I say mailed, I mean emailed. Yep, okay. And is anybody waiting for any outstanding replies or responses?
Yeah, John Porcino didn't not reply yet to me. I might
Okay.
contact him by phone next week, maybe. If
Okay. Yeah, so how do we want to go about this? Because I have somebody who hasn't responded to me either. Just one.
Well, I wasn't expecting a response.
Oh,
I don't expect them to say anything to me. If they intend to be at the grant reception, then they should be RSVPing to the Google Doc.
okay.
So
All
I
right.
did get my chainsaw cheeseburger guy. He did say thank you. And Leslie, you got one too from Sim Burdette, I think.
They
Like a thank
coming?
you. Yeah, it was like a thank you. Oh, like so happy, thank you.
Oh,
But
yeah, yeah.
but they didn't say whether or not they were coming.
Okay.
I haven't looked on the Google Drive to see if they RSVP'd yet.
All right, when should we call them to ask? Because I will call. By what date?
So
Okay.
that's a good question. Are we
Homeowners, this incredible tip is just
if
for you.
if we set up an agenda for how the reception is going to go and somebody doesn't show for whatever reason, they just don't talk. And I think that it's hard to say at this point if any who's going to come, but maybe when it comes to the agenda that we'll have to just skip over them if they don't show up.
Leslie, it's my thought, it's not too late to make a phone call now to follow up. The sooner they get the good news about their grant, if somehow their email did not go through,
Oh,
the
good
more
point.
time they have to plan to attend the reception, the better.
Okay.
And Terry, for what it's worth, I have not heard back from any of the emails that I sent.
Okay.
As Vic said, I didn't expect to, and it makes me a little bit nervous sometimes, but I may follow up.
So my concern there was only that maybe some email, if their email portal, whatever they're using for service, put it automatically in the spam box.
You
So
never know.
that was my only concern there. So, but yes, so maybe by beginning of next week, I mean, start now, but if you definitely don't hear anything by Monday, maybe that's the time to just like, oh, okay, start picking up the phone. Does that
But would it
remind me?
go, oh,
Go ahead.
Terry, would it go to spam if you had sent an email from your email?
I don't,
Like, did your system know, like, oh, she knows this person because she sent an email to them? Like, so would it come to your regular email and not go to spam?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just know that in the past, there have been issues with, for us as a group where sometimes they go into the spam box and I'll talk to somebody and like, oh, I didn't get that. Like, okay, so
Their spam box.
yeah, theirs.
Oh, theirs. Okay. Okay.
Yep. So we're never going to know, but it would be nice to have them acknowledge and say, yes, I received, yay, thank you for the grant. Yes, I received it. I'm aware that I received it, as opposed to, oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
So that was my goal there.
So should we just set a date for when we should all contact our respective grantees just to ensure that they received it and reply, right?
I agree.
Say that again, Vic?
So we should set a date for ourselves to call all of our grantees by a certain date to ensure that they received the email, and if they did already receive, they need to RSVP as soon as possible. Like maybe like next Wednesday, the 17th or something?
That's the date I was looking at.
I was thinking Monday, just,
Well, we haven't.
I know Craig said, anytime, and I see some beauty in that. Just, it'd be nice to have people get excited, I guess.
Mhm.
hey, we, got a grant, the arts are still alive.
Mhm.
Um, that's a sad thing to even say.
And Monday's fine. Just double check what's on the Google Drive first to see the RSVP before you call them.
Where
Right.
do they go in the Google Drive?
No, there's a Google Sheet they launch and it's a survey.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, it's in the,
From the email that we sent, there was a link, and so they can follow that link to say, yes, I'm attending, but that
okay.
would be a way to know that they received the grant paperwork. So
So
even
Vic,
if,
okay.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Vic, did you say, I'm sorry, is it in Google Docs or the Google spreadsheet?
Google survey. It's a Google survey. So
Oh, they actually have an app in the Google called Survey? Oh, we have a
yeah,
survey.
yeah, it's a Google survey. It's how we did our survey.
Oh,
It's in Google. It's a Google. It's not a Survey Monkey. It's a Google survey,
okay.
and that's the link that Selby had created, and we had attached that. It's in the invite, and then for both you
Right.
and Leslie, it's in the body of the email as well.
Okay.
So if you open up my email, it's actually the word survey link is blue underlined.
Oh,
And
okay. I'll
you
look
click
that up.
on it and you'll see it.
Okay.
And then you can also go to responses, I think.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then so I'm going to just Selvi had, as somebody noted earlier, some great ideas for things to be just covered this meeting. So all of the invitations are in email, so everybody sent out their emails, I'm assuming. And I'm just checking in with everybody. Nobody had any issues. Okay. And then panelists, so the let's see, grantees, panelists versus attendees. Would anybody like to expand on that? I'm not
Mhm.
clear on.
So we are the panelists. So this is where we might need you, John. We are the designated panelists, right? It's the 8 of us. And then everybody else who is either a speaker, a dignitary speaker, or a grant recipient comes in as an attendee and they get promoted to panelists by John. So they're not automatically a panelist because I think it was said that too many panelists causes issues for John. So they come in as an attendee and they become a panelist. And then I'm a little unclear about the general audience. They just general attendees.
So, John, just to give you some background, I kind of understand where Bick is going now. I had a question. I sent it to Diane Wackel, and then I had a conversation with Chief Parenti, and so he went over what the benefits you had gone over, given us the overview, and then the question came up as to who would be the panelists and who would be the attendees. And so from what the chief said is that this council would be the panelist, and then everybody else would be attendees. And then, so I think there was some question within the group as to what would the reasoning be to not make dignitaries? So by dignitaries, we're defining that as any of the state reps, um, um, Senator Eldridge, who we're not sure who can come yet. We haven't received that. Is there a benefit, a pro con to making them panelist versus attendee?
No, I don't think so. I mean, sorry. Um, they can observe this meeting, just like we are. And if they're not going to be speaking, if they're just going to have a part where they come in, they say their piece, and then they leave, then they should be just regular attendees. But if you want somebody to be live throughout the whole meeting as you are, then you can invite them as a participant as well.
Okay, so say for instance, of the dignitaries, one of them wants to stay for the whole thing, can you leave them on as a panelist as other people are brought in
I
from
mean,
attendees?
they can be attendees, but you just invite them in and keep them in. So typically the way a webinar is scheduled is from like, this meeting started at 6:30. So at 6:40, a person comes in to speak. Some of the
it.
meetings I've attended, it's a contractor, it's a engineering consultant, it's something like that. You let them in the meeting, they say their piece, and then they're left to go back. They can still watch the meeting
Okay.
from where they are, but it's up to you how many people you really want to have on the screen at one time.
And so, go ahead, Leslie. You're on mute.
I was going to say they will probably want to be attendees because at the live grantees receptions that we have, a lot of these state people, they'll sit until and then they talk and then they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that way, they can still listen to the meeting, but they're not on camera and their mic
Gotcha.
isn't live. And, so basically, if they didn't want to watch the whole meeting, they'd do what I do. They'd stop their video and unmute. They might as well be outside the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
And then, so if we go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, so just to confirm, John, if somebody wants to come, they have received a grant and they want to join at the very beginning and they would just like to watch the entire proceedings, perhaps at the time, and then at the time we give them their grant, we would like them to be on camera and to say something.
Yes.
That is facilitated by saying, in your terminology, they are, you said we let them in, which
Yes.
means at that designated time, you can have their camera work and have their microphone work.
That's correct. That's
The
correct.
rest of the time, they're just free to watch the entire proceedings.
Yes. So
Got it.
so when you join the meeting and before I let you in, that would kind of be their status, but they'd be able to watch more. They'd just be outside the meeting. And if they wanted to talk, there's a little function there where it's called raise your hand. And so the host can see that there's a person in the attendee list that wants to speak. So then you let them in and they can speak.
Well, or in our case, we have an agenda, and at 6 o'clock, Terry
Yes.
kicks off. At
Yes.
6:05,
Yep.
Julianne Hirsch speaks.
Exactly.
At 6:10, Representative Gregoire.
Yep.
And so whoever the host is can say, all right, I'm bringing you on, Selectman Hirsch now.
Yes. So that's how we do our interviews. When they're interviewing for a position, if there's 4 candidates, they're all invited and they have a certain time slot. And so if, they go for like 20 minutes or a half an hour from 7 to 7:30, and then another person comes on from 7:30 to 7, but they're not all in at the same time. They're only in by themselves.
I have that point. I guess what I'm trying to understand is the host who is speaking and cueing them saying, Representative Select Person Hurst, we're going to bring you in now, right?
Yes. So that would be done more through like a chat function. If the person knows that they're on for a particular time, we usually try to tell them, it could be 5 or 10 minutes before, it could be 5 or 10 minutes after your allotted time. So just kind of be ready and wait, ready to go. And then they can tell when they're being let in, just like you are when we let you in the meeting.
Okay, so I would imagine that some of these grantees, so we're looking at them coming in as attendees. So those are the people who have been awarded a grant. They come in, hopefully everybody can make it. We just don't know and won't know, for a while, I think. But maybe something happens. So if somebody can't show, then it just bumps up the schedule. And so as we are doing this as a council, and I'm saying, okay, next up, it's going to be driven through an agenda, and Jim DiGiulio is going to be our host. And then so he'll hear us go through. And so I guess I just have to cue him that this person is not, that we're skipping on to the next one. Is that what you see?
So Terry, I would suggest that Jim gets an agenda, so he knows exactly who's first, second, third, right? So he follows along with us, and we may pass the baton on and say, next I'd like to invite, Louis Cotto to speak, and so he kind of knows that, but he also sees it in front of him. But if somebody doesn't come, well, one of the things Diane Wackel said, she suggested everybody make sure they log in with their first and last name so it can be easily seen for the host to identify them.
I was just going to bring that up, that's a big problem in the webinars, is that we have a name of a person we're supposed to let in, and it says Tommy's iPhone instead of their name.
Yeah, right.
So,
and
so
I'm
yes,
thinking,
that's a very important point.
and I think many people who've done Zoom, I don't even know if they know how to edit their name, because it's whatever they did a long time ago. So it's like it's abbreviated or first name only. And so I think that when we send out the agenda to our grantees, that we clearly say in big, bold, black, red, whatever, if it's your turn to speak, and we have to give them kind of like an order of, the agenda, because, whether we do it alphabetical or whatever, that if it's not clear who they are, they need to raise their hand so that the host knows, or something. They need to say something, because otherwise, how can Jim find them? How can we find the person? We wouldn't know how they come in across, because they're only an attendee, not a panelist. So that's the downside of not pre-inviting them in as a panelist.
Okay. So, whoever we're communicating with, I think that's the key, is just to make sure that's part of the dialogue that you have with somebody, that, make sure you have who you are. And hopefully by now enough people have been doing Zooms so that they understand some of that. I mean, no telling, but I think we'll just do the best we can.
And if they're not coming, but they're sending someone else, right? So you may think it's, like I may think it's Jesse Green for, Cheeseburger Chainsaw, right? But he sent somebody else. So now I'm looking for Jesse, Jim's looking for Jesse, and it's not Jesse, but the person is there. So they should let us know if somebody's representing them, so that we cross out Jesse and put in, the right person's name, right?
Good point. Yeah, in case there's a substitute pinch hitter.
Yes. So I think we need a set of guidelines for them to follow, that we should go out like a single email that we kind of come up with, that we can all use, and we send it out to all of our grantees, like, please follow these directions.
And cut and paste.
Diane can definitely help you with that as well.
Yeah, she gave us some logistics about, like, this is what you can put in the invite and stuff like that, like, the link and that sort of thing. But it's more about, I don't know that I saw the specifics of what I have just been referring to in Diane's note, but we can draft something up and ask her to look at it and see if it makes sense to her. And she's like, no, we don't typically do that. We do something else, or, that looks good. We should do that. Yeah.
No, I like that.
I think it helps us too, because I'm not sure.
Yep.
I mean, normal Zoom, it's easy, but when you've got a webinar and a waiting room is different.
Yeah, if we're live at the library, it's easier to say, here's the mic. Who's up next? Who's up to bat?
Well, it's especially important if we do have some VIPs attending. We want to be very sensitive to their schedules.
Yep, absolutely. So maybe that's part of the communication. At what point are you available? Are you available for the whole meeting? Because when we are setting or when I'm working on the agenda, is there some time considerations to be aware of? I guess that point. All right. I'm just making notes. Okay. Next question was guests of honor, panelists panelists versus attendees. We have that. So it'll really just be us that are going to be panelists along with Julianne Hirsch. That will be panelists, and that's how I understand it. Is everybody on the same page?
I'm just wondering if, I think Representative Gregoire did RSVP. I wonder if she would like to be a panelist or if she'd like to come and go.
I can ask.
Would it be, I was going to say, would it be polite to offer and let them kind of manage it as they would please so they can come and go, or if they would like to stay on the whole time?
What have you seen in the past, John? Do state representatives, local dignitaries, do they typically go on as panelists? Or I know you were talking about attendees earlier, but has there been an instance that you've seen or anything to
Not
be
that I
aware
have
of?
seen, not that I have seen, but you know, if they're invited as attendees and you let them in right at the beginning and let them stay for the whole meeting, essentially they're panelists.
Oh,
It's really
okay.
just semantics, really.
Okay.
You know, so the only thing I don't know is if it's different about them entering and, you know, if they can leave themselves and something like that. I could ask that question, you know.
That's the question, Terry. Would they want to be on camera the whole time or politely for their section?
Right. Right.
But
I
even
mean,
if they're on as a panelist, they can always leave the meeting when they're done, if they want, right? They could just hit leave.
yes, that's true. But then they leave completely. They're gone.
Right.
They're back. So if they want to still stay, but not off camera, what we do is we put them back in the waiting room and then they can watch without being on camera.
Got it. Okay.
And they can always let them back in if there's a reason why they want to have something else to say.
Okay. And you would know that because how? Is it just that raising of the hand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That
So,
option.
you know, the host for the webinar requires that you really have to pay attention. and
Okay.
Make sure that everything's moving along.
All right.
And Jim is good at that. So
Good.
you won't have any problem with him. He's been doing the lion's share of the webinars the past 2 months. So
Okay.
he knows how to handle those things. Because some of those like zoning board meetings and planning board meetings, they can get pretty tumultuous and he's handled them pretty well.
Okay. Okay, that's encouraging, helpful to know. Does anybody else have any more questions on that?
So to all of this is why I think we need a dry run. So you think you can ask Diane for another time, just half hour, so that we can practice getting on and off, and you know, and somebody can play attendee, you know, becoming panelists and all that, you know, dialing in from another phone and, you know, just making sure we can make it happen.
Yeah, that would be fine. Diane could schedule that. I typically see that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are very busy with meetings. And you do have to remember, this is the run up to town meeting. So there is a lot of meetings. So, you know, if it works for everybody's schedule, I would say Monday night might be perfect for that.
Okay.
So, Terry, I don't know if this is a different agenda item, but it's the technological capability of playing videos. So as we've discussed, the idea of having a brief recording or something submitted by some of the grantees, not their acceptance speech, but, you know, if they're going to send us a brief video, it's that technologically easy to facilitate and to bring into the whole production.
Okay, so I'm going to throw that question onto John. So is
Well,
that, who does that? Is
well, my
that
guess,
my role or would that
Nope.
be Jim's?
I think I think you'd probably leave that to Jim.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and if you want him to show you how to do it, what you'd basically be doing is sharing your screen. You know, you'd play the video on your PC, you'd share your screen and everybody would see it. So just like you know, last week there was a document somebody shared.
Yeah.
It pretty much works the same way, I think.
Okay.
You know, and that would be completely up to your comfort zone. You know, if you wanted Jim to facilitate that, I don't think he'd have a problem with that.
Okay, so what it would be is that, say somebody played a violin piece to,
Sure.
I know I'm just throwing darts in the air here
Yep.
now, but,
Yep.
and, you know, it's just some entertainment.
Right.
Show what the
I mean,
cultural council
Yeah,
does.
you would just give Jim the cue to play this video. He would start it on his PC, share his screen, and everybody could see it.
Okay, all right. I think that works. Once we figure out how many people are coming, maybe that will sort of determine. I think we have like an hour and a half for our grantee reception, and
What are, it's not necessarily we wait to see who's coming. This is in the
How do you
case that
wanna do
nobody is coming, which we know is not true, but in the case, and they all submit a video. Sorry, I can't come, but here's my slideshow. Sorry, I can't come, but here's a clip of me, you know, and my band. So now you're sitting there playing clip after
No.
clip after clip. No, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
it's not, it's more than, it's not the entertainment portion, which is like you asking Solar Jazz to prepare something on purpose. We want to focus on you being our entertainment for the night. This is like the rest of the grantees who cannot come, but they're submitting something and then we're playing their clip.
Okay, so how I see this, I'm only going by the first time I'd been to a reception, which was way back in 2019. I think I recall Selby introduced, and then I think
It was part of the
Amy and her
slideshow. It was
spoke.
part of the slideshow that
Yep.
Suzanne had up, and then she would have, if you recall, Lisa Hayden had she didn't have words or text to her slide. It was a clip, so it stopped on the page, and then Suzanne hit play, and it was whatever it was. It was a
So for the sake of ease, is it a better idea just say there's 20 grantees, invite them to speak if they want to?
no,
Hi,
they've already been
or-
invited to speak. They are,
but if
Well,
everybody can though.
no. Okay, so all right, so we had 20 winners, 19 winners,
Mhm.
and we said please prepare 1 to 2 minutes, and that's the intent. So if all 20 came, we would have 40 minutes of talking. If somebody doesn't come, they're going to submit either pictures or stills of something which we can show as in the slideshow format, or they will send us like an MPG
MP4?
MP4, there you go. of some video clip of theirs. And so we go back and forth between this person talking, the next group is a slideshow, the next group talks, and the next group is a video. So we have to transition like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems all doable. You just have to make sure that they understand the time limits.
Yes.
If they send you a 20-minute video, it's only going to play 5 minutes or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, we check all that out beforehand. Yeah.
Or we have a recording of that music from the Oscars. Oh, your time is off.
That's a good one.
You're uninvited.
It's the
Music
people
and
that speak live that's difficult.
Yeah.
You can't go.
Well, we have the digital version of the hook.
Oh, you do?
It's putting them back in the waiting room.
Oh, I was thinking of, a great big like emoji coming across the screen of like, meh.
I don't think Jim's that good.
That's
So-
pretty good though.
Bick makes the perfect points. Terry, I think it's clear we need a production meeting separate. We don't have to get into all the details here, but clearly there's
I
some
wasn't,
time, some
And then
time
with Jim-
limits when we have to have everybody's submission. We have to have the time to pull that all together. Perhaps that's a great idea to have a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and I would ask that you request that Jim be in on that as well.
okay. Okay, this is all really good and really helpful because you guys are getting into things that hadn't even crossed my mind yet. So this is good. Let's see. I guess the next question, can we please have the designated links so that we can email them to those that RSVP'd? Is that a separate link than the one? Please.
So the question is
Is
the
that-
general audience or the audience who becomes panelists, we're all using the same link, right? There's not a different link for the public, is there, John?
Is that true, John?
I don't know. That would be a question for Diane,
Okay.
because she sends all those out. So I'm not sure exactly if it's the same. I would imagine it would have to be the same, but I'm not sure. I mean, it would have to be different, I guess, now that I think about it, because that way they wouldn't be delineated on our screen as participants or attendees. So I'm sure that there is a separate link.
I'm going to say it's different because I know from my company, when we do town halls, there's always a group of speakers. We have to get on 15 minutes early. That's our link. And then everybody else gets a different link.
Yes,
But
so I think that's
somehow
probably
they're
going to be
joined
similar.
together.
Yes.
In my-
Magically,
I believe you guys all hit the nail on the head. I'm looking over my notes from speaking with the fire chief. The attendee link is the one that we received.
mhm.
And that's the one we sent out. And so us as panelists will receive a second one. That was my understanding.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so there isn't a link yet for us as panelists.
Diane creates that when she schedules the meeting.
Will you double check with Diane? Just to make sure, Terry, so she doesn't think we only need one link or something.
I will do that. Okay, and I guess the next question here, RSVP list. We have 5 grantees who have RSVP'd so far. And I guess there will be a worksheet where we can track it to see who can or who cannot make it. So we'll come up with a program. Okay, next.
Well, what you wanted with that is, so I have not found the survey on the shared drive, so I don't know if she actually put it on the Google Drive, like our shared drive, because anyone can download the Excel off of the survey. So in that case, Selby would be the one who has the master on that. So as people respond, for now, she's the only one who knows how many people respond. Like the rest of us can't find it. So she'll have to put it on the shared drive for us, or at a point where it looks like maybe by Sunday, she can send out the spreadsheet to us. Like, okay, how many do we have thus far? That way on Monday, we can call the remainder of the people, right? And then also from that spreadsheet, even though she'll get more RSVPs, from that spreadsheet, we got to add more people like Louis, Cotto, and our dignitaries and anybody else who be invited. You know, or like updates, so changes, you know, like Jesse Green's not coming. He's sending Mrs. Green instead, you know.
And so is that something that's
Vic, I thought you said Selby was going to send it to me, or you were
No.
talking to everybody?
No, she's gonna send it, but she should be sending it to everybody because I don't know of my people that
Oh.
you know, I don't
have
know
to
who's
put it in
coming.
special order or separate people, like grantees in one spot, the state reps
Well,
in another. Or,
what she's sending to you will be the RSVPs from the grantees. So you should expect to see 19 names on there, best case scenario.
okay.
If not, you see 5 names. So she has 5 names right now. Hopefully you'll get 10 by Sunday, and then we call the rest of the 9. On top of the 19, now you're going to manually add everybody else that we talked about.
Okay.
Okay, and that spreadsheet can be downloaded off of the survey because the survey collects the data and it spits it out to you in an Excel spreadsheet.
got it?
So that's what she's going to get the spreadsheet one instead of creating one from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's nice. That's
If I need help, I'll have to ask you
Yeah.
or Selby.
It's what I did with the survey for our survey. 200 respondents. I did not do that manually. Right?
did not occur to me.
Yeah, the survey spits it out to you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is that through like Survey Monkey?
No, it's a Google survey.
It's a Google survey. Okay.
Is that an
Google,
actual app called, like, they have Google Classroom, they have
Okay.
Google Docs. Is it called
Google Drive,
Survey?
and then there's a thing that goes survey. It makes a survey for you. You can create surveys off of Google.
Okay.
Got it.
All
Okay.
right.
Like
Yep.
it. Okay, that part I didn't
I'll show you
understand.
one day.
That's cool. Okay, and then one of the next notes here is that we need to come up with a program, a PowerPoint presentation. I'm not sure what to come up with a presentation. We are just going to have the, oh, maybe she's talking about like statistics in terms of, no?
Well,
No.
just so there's something visually announcing each of the grants other than us just speaking the whole time. It would be a lot more production, shifting back between people's faces and sharing a presentation. But Terry, you know what I'm saying, from a production value, it'd be nice to have, and here is Acme, and their grant is for this, and they are doing this. And now here they are to, speak, and then they come on, right? And then embedded in that presentation, maybe if whoever else can't make it, there's still some printed banner, here's who it was, and we play their video of them saying thank you or whatever. But it's just like any video you produce, it's nice to have headers and introductions and then any other way to provide notes or comments, right?
Okay, so this is where maybe I need to get good at sharing my screen to be able to do this, or Jim is going to have.
I think this is what we ought to figure out in kind of a production planning session. What's the
Okay.
most aesthetically pleasing and technologically efficient way to move through this?
Okay, and then so along with that production meeting, the next item here is we need an MC. I don't mind doing it. Or do you want to share this, or do we share the stage, or
All in favor of Terry as MC?
I
The
vote
last
for
MC
Craig.
was terrible.
Craig, you were totally awesome. Like shooting from the
did a
hip.
great
It sounded
job.
very organized.
I had my turn, so now it's somebody.
You did a fabulous job. So that's
I
what
just
I
heard
meant.
you said you don't mind.
I don't mind, but I'm not gonna like, no way. I mean, I
I don't know. I
still
think
bow to
Lori's been
all of
waiting in the
your-
wings.
Terry doesn't want to step on your toes, Craig.
I would like anybody to step on my toes. I think Bick and Lori would be fabulous.
I
Bick
think
would be
it's the
fabulous.
last. I think that's the last thing you do
I
before
know.
you leave us, Craig.
I know Lori would never, and I wouldn't either.
Didn't they just have these two wonderful female co-hosts for the last award ceremony that was on TV?
Yeah,
The
Tina
Grammys?
Fey and whatever.
Amy Poehler. I think you guys would be great.
That's us, comedians.
Trip over your power cord. Oops. Oh, goodness. Okay, so, and then performers, again, I think this falls under the production. We're not there yet. And
Is there
then-
anyone that's on our list that we like what they do, that we could ask if they want to do a little like we had like the Indian dancers one year. We had a magic show another year.
And so this is where I think we need, so this meeting doesn't go on too long tonight. We might have to have a separate meeting to toss these things around, since I would love to have some more material in front of me to figure out.
Well, and Leslie, our award letter, if you recall, invites them if they would like to. And so let's see, we're going to be following up here, as we just said. Let's see who offers, and then, see how that feels. And if maybe we want to go down the list and find somebody else, we can do that.
Okay.
I like that. That would be nice if somebody were comfortable and wanted to step forward and
An
I don't know,
artist
I think-
that wanted to perform, crazy.
He
Crazy.
did a great magic show. He did a couple things. It was really nice.
It was different. It was fun. I have a clarification question. What was the story behind Solar Jazz? Did he submit clips of him playing for part of the presentation or as part of the?
I think it was just a polite offer.
Okay. Okay.
A wonderful collaborator, a wonderful friend, and
I was
somebody
wondering
just saying,
if
hey,
he
you know,
responded to just what you said, you know, that we asked for something and he sent something.
That's how I took it, that, you know, it was an offer, and then there were pictures of people who, you know, I'm thinking at some point, we may need PR, like today, all of a sudden I needed something out of the blue for an article and some pictures. And so I was in a crazy rush to do some screenshots for an article, because I just didn't have anything, nothing left in my phone. So, you know, that was nice to have a picture of some artists, but I wouldn't have been able to say who they were from the email. So, you know, we may need it. I don't know, but I think that's definitely a separate meeting that can take on its own, can fill a meeting as opposed to here right now. And I think that covers it. Did anybody else have any questions or thoughts? I think everything is just now heading to what the reception will be like.
Well, number 9 is, do we need to reach out to Julianne Hirsch. Right, she's been a wonderful support of us, and she's a good speaker as well. So, will you do that, Terry, or do you want one of us to do?
Absolutely. I've spoken to her
Okay.
recently, and I asked her, you know, will you come? I don't remember if I said, can you speak? I can't
She
believe
does
I,
every year, Terry. I'm sure
Yeah.
she'll be expecting.
I hope so. Okay. And so she would, this is a good time to point out, so she would be one of our panelists. That is my understanding, that that would be a good person to have supporting what we're doing. So panelist for the from the get-go.
Too, but sometimes he has other things to do, so we'll have to double check. But
So,
Louis, as an MCC rep, I think he should be a panelist.
Are we asking him to speak or we're not?
so maybe attendee that's promoted to panelist, but that can go in case he goes to other things. Is that what you mean, Vic?
Oh, well, we just ask him in advance. Can you stay for the whole thing, or do you need to leave?
Right.
If you can stay for the whole thing, we'd like you to be a panelist and stay on.
Okay.
I think to your question, Leslie, the agenda though is we need to go through like who's speaking, what does the agenda look like?
Okay. Yep. And I think a separate meeting for that
Yeah.
is probably
We do
our
that
best
with a
friend,
power
right?
session. Yeah.
I don't have anything else other than, I mean, you saw me trying to come up with some pictures today for an article, and it sounds like from the message that I got was that the community advocate didn't sense an urgency. So that's why our article from back in November, December didn't go in. And then so I sense that it isn't in right now, but is going to, or, you know, there's going to be something that's going to go in. So all these pictures are super helpful. So I don't know. So Craig, I guess now that I know it's you and Suzanne that created that Love Northborough sign, I would love to have some pictures on a drive so that maybe that becomes really helpful to put up in, you know, use it in different PR things.
It's been copywritten already, but you know, we could work something out.
Do you have any connections?
I think when spring is here, bring it out into the nice grass or whatever is growing beautifully and take a nice quality shot of it, like you said, for, you know, perpetuity. And
It doesn't exist anymore.
Don't we have a lot of pictures of it from the first year we used it? I mean, you had some nice pictures, Beck.
yeah, but it's like with all kinds of people hanging on it, but it's not like as a standalone. I do have a couple from the the actual grant facility, but it was kind of sitting in the corner. There are tables nearby, so it's not a standalone nice picture. I think one person had a really nice standalone picture. I think that's Suzanne, and she said she was gonna look for it. So.
Okay, yep. So things like that. That's fabulous. And so since Suzanne isn't here and it's not on the agenda, but I'm just mentioning public art. I know Suzanne had put out some nice email informational pieces that I'm excited about that. So wherever that goes, I think it's fabulous. Does anybody have anything else, or is this just a really short meeting, Craig?
I do. So what did I just do? What did I just write? I can't remember. It went to the press for the grantee. Not the reception. Well, the reception is part of it, but the main crux of the article is about our 2021 grants have been submitted to Community Advocate and the patch, and it's I have to look at Liz because Liz has double duty. So when she replies, I don't know who she's replying for. So give me a second. She said Northborough Guide. So she put it in the Northborough Guide. And I haven't heard from Northborough, not that I ever hear from any of the other news outlets, but we usually get it in Northborough Community. So we should check because I think, does it come out on Thursdays?
Which one?
Community Advocate is when I usually
Fridays.
on
Fridays.
Thursday or Fridays when I see it.
So it
I
wouldn't.
get it Fridays.
I think tomorrow will be really early. So next Friday we should check. Maybe we should check tomorrow as well. But see if
Nick, can you put that on our Facebook page?
yes.
Let people know everything that's going on. I thought that was kind of nice. It was
A
great.
little long, but do you want me to post the whole thing? Yeah, I could, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And we have our pictures. Yeah, we do that.
Okay.
And also I have to submit it to Lewis to submit it to the MCC Community Initiative Facebook site. That's where our
where we get visibility.
no, that's where our YouTube article, the one about the VCF, went into that site. So it didn't go into their newsletter that goes out. It went onto their Facebook site.
Oh, okay.
So they have a Facebook site dedicated just for community initiatives. I just learned that. so we're in there, as well as when I went through there, they just took a few lines from our article and put that as part of the Facebook posting. So, and because our article is not in Community Advocate yet, if it were, they would have put the link to Community Advocate.
Oh, okay.
So that didn't happen. So the full article that Lori, you worked on and all that didn't make it anywhere.
Okay.
Right? Because it's too long for Facebook. Right. And so what I've seen them do is they'll put like 1 or 2 sentences as to what it is, but then they'll put the link to the article. Since our article wasn't in any news outlet, you know, they couldn't post anything, but they did post the YouTube. So that's up there. And then I noticed that other LCCs also announced their 2021 grants. So I saw 3 or 4 of them and I was like, people are announcing, we need to announce. So if it's in the, you know, whether it's in Wicked Local, I also sent to them, or Community Advocate, if we provide that link on top of our, you know, like the 1 or 2 sentences they would use, then they will post that in the Community Initiative Facebook site. Okay. So I'm just saying that other LCCs are announcing, and it's going on the MCC's Facebook site. So we need to do the same.
I like that. And so what you're saying though is that we need like Community Advocate to publish that before it can hit.
Right, because even if we have to text for it,
won't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't, you know, we can't house our article anywhere for them to tag.
Yeah,
you know,
where to link it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so I guess we're kind of on pause. One thing, so I'm putting this under other business or just information. I was lunchtime today listening to the news, and so this was on channel 4 or 5, according to the MCC, during 2020, so COVID, it was some astronomical figure like 33 million has been lost to do with the arts and performances and museums that people didn't go and spend and do and see. So that's quite a hefty figure. So I think people soon, with all of the vaccinations, are going to be interested in going to see and do and travel. So I'm hoping that everything goes well and we can be part of that.
588.3 million lost revenues. Artists cite 30.4 million lost income and 30,000 cultural jobs impacted statewide.
That's important. That's really important to note. And so while we have a small role, it's an important role.
It actually becomes a pretty big role for the artists who can't make a living right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also why I feel good that we were able to distribute $8,311 this year. And in prior years, it's only been between 5,500 and 6,000, a little around 6,000 mark. So
Which is a lot.
A healthy increase for now.
Yep, fantastic. So I just felt that was important to say that in the public, that this impacts the entire state. It impacts every state. Can't go to a concert, can't go to a movie, can't, I don't know, museums, though a little bit, designated time blocks. That's it. So I don't have anything else. I think the next step is to prepare for the production of the grantee reception. Does anybody else have anything, other business before the board? And I'm not seeing anybody rushing to the front.
So I
So
will make a motion that we adjourn for the evening.
Craig first. And is there a second? Leslie second. Oh. Okay, and so I'll go across the board. Lori.
Yes.
And Bick.
Yes.
And Craig.
Yes.
And Leslie. Yep, okay, and yes, so we are now adjourned. Thank you everyone for joining us at the Northborough Cultural Council, and thank you so much, John.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks. You too. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks.
You too.